Okay, hopefully this works. Hello everybody, my name is Zetos. This will kind of just be a video going over what I've been doing ever since June, whenever I kind of stopped uploading onto this channel. And this will also just kind of be just a video kind of just going over all the shit I've done in the TBS SMP without much further ado. This was kind of my original house. It was the first ever build and spot I made. It was made before Tiny Town. I actually watched as Vero joined and made the initial town, him and Kiki. I was kind of there for the beginning of it. So I watched as all of that was formed. My towers were the initial hotspot for anomalous activities. The original BT incident, where the Birch Tower incident was kind of the thing that foundationalized my lore. It was originally 3 identical towers until I started to do more with the towers. And it's got into the state that it is now. So I always had, with accompanying in my towers, which we'll go up into, we had this little board where people could put their names onto. You could see there's a bunch of interesting, like we got like a park there, bunch of just names. I don't know who put that one there. There's also a Rika sign right here. Don't know what that is. There's the Harbinger sign that I've always just kept. There's the Noli was here. But I'm gonna try to list off everything anomalous and what caused it. Over here, this thing was created by Calamity as a kind of memorial to Artifact. Over here we have the original park box that I was trapped inside. We had some protective void that spread corruption for a little bit. We got this weird box. Don't know how this got here. We have my pet circuit Kirby, which when did you get a face, Kirby? You've evolved. I'm very proud of you. We have my little Void Sauna. This was actually what was created before the Void Spa, and actually kind of concepted the Void Spa. Over here you got Rogue's Base, right on my doorstep. It was like, I forget when this was made, but it's meant to correspond with that person. We have, of course, a Roches tree. We have the actual artifact monument, which has a whole bunch of people, which I need to take this book, actually, so I can archive it. Just because. Over here we have, so at some point I stopped living up in my actual towers, and I started to live here and kind of made that just more of like a historical site. We have more park things, like this box was park, this was park. This and the void hole itself was made by System. We have Kalna's status on Discord. I don't know when that got placed there, but it just was at some point. We got a Mary sign. We got some storage that literally was never made. My donkey that got stolen so long ago. We have my isolation chamber, which I'll get into in a bit. This was kind of my second ever house after the towers. There was originally a map here, but it got just taken by someone. I don't know who. Up here, we have a flowers tree and one of my favorite, to this day, one of my favorite seats of all time. I love this view. Now, while I do think that the seat up here, the seat up here is better, I like that one more. Next up, we got the isolation chamber. The isolation chamber was kind of made as a way to contain soul parts. I'll explain what this is whenever we get to Catalyst, but it has very much lost its status as an isolation chamber. So that's kind of base number 1. It was the most important, most major of the bases. I was the one for the longest time. I kind of made fun of the fact that it was also kind of like a hangout spot a lot of the time. Like, there was sometimes wherever I would have like 7 people here all doing lore. It was amazing. The summertime was great. I still think that was the probably peak TBS in general, but I do feel like acting-wise, it got better over time. Let's go over to my next house, which is the Hideout. So the Hideout was my 3rd ever base made. It's the one that, build-wise, I'm the most proud of. I love how I built this. I love it so much. It is great and amazing. The interior I'm also very proud of. This was kind of my home away from home. Like, if I wanted to be somewhere where nobody else was, I would come here. It's got a great view of the Farlands and the sunrise, and a great view of the sunset. You could actually see a spot where the Broken Ends spawned and watched me and Zen from. The attic is storage. Hope was up here at one point. Him and Scapoon. Down in the basement, I never did anything with the basement. But over here was my lore maze. I made this a whole long while back. It was basically the place where Silas would learn that he is in fact not the original, and the original is in fact Zackery. And he learned that he was actually a soul part. Which it ended off with all the way down here. I don't know why there's a notebook here, but yeah. And I don't think many people know this, but Stabilized Disruption, fun fact, was actually meant to be an item corresponding with my player custom entity. So it was kind of a block that I kind of commissioned to be made, and it got made, and I'm happy. The only problem is there's no obtainable way of getting it without admins. So that kind of does suck, but it was originally going to be if you killed Misguided, he would drop that block. Hi, Sinclair. Outside, we also have where Torment was first dragged to the void, like a fucking loser. No, it was his second go round where he was first dragged to the void. Over here was the conclusion of the 3-hour torture session with Electro. This was fun, to say the least. It's where I got all my heads, which I'll eventually show off. So now, if we go on... What's the next place I should show off? I should probably show off my office next. I feel like I'm about to get hit if I don't. Yep. I should probably find where my office is. Office. So my office was where I conducted my interviews. I hear a cat? Oh, it was Maxwell. So this was, in my opinion, a very smart move of me to do. Essentially, what it did was I would just interview people about their corruptions and whatnot, and it really just allowed me to get to know people and really put me out there in terms of lore. It's also where I kept my sheep, my bunny Wire. Hi, Wire. I forget that you're down here. You know what, Wire? Be free. You deserve it, mate. Run wild. I don't know why there keep being like random artifacts in the sky. It's nothing too special. It's a very basic and plain office where I would just sit down and interview people. What's next on the list? Bases. Let's go and show off Verde's place. I have ransacked Verde's place. So it was right on the edge of the day beef. If you see any of these, they're meant to have like the red stained glass. I just removed them all after it was said that day B would be reset. It never did. It's also where I had my birthday party, essentially, with the mountain of cake. But this is essentially where Verde lived for the longest time, back whenever Hope was still very much a person, and he essentially just lived in isolation or away from other people. Down here is wherever he would practice being a deceiver. It's a location that you can only get to with the scythe, meaning that only Verde and possibly Curiosity could get down to the platform. This was kind of just a place for him to practice being a deceiver because it's close to the void as well. And the only way of getting back up is if you have the scythe. So it's meant for only me in mind, really. Which I might make future builds in Season 3 corresponding with the scythe. That you can only get to up with the scythe. So, sorry, future people. On the topic of Day B, I might as well show you my Day B outpost. Which we need to go this direction for. So, little fun fact about the KCM, and not many people know this. I was, I think, the 5th or 4th person to be let into Day B back before people were genuinely let in. And I made the 2nd ever location to be made. I made this before Mextown and everyone. And fun fact, I was actually the person to choose where the KCM would be built. So that little island there, I chose that spot. That was me. I'm really proud of that fun fact. Even though it's like very minuscule if you really think about it, I'm still very proud of it. Now, I always did plan to live on top of Day B, but unfortunately at some point they just made it to where we couldn't go on top. I'm still a little upset on that. I would have liked to build a little house on top of it, but it's whatevs. My Day B outpost isn't anything special. It's kind of just there to be there. And sorry if this video isn't edited. I just want to try to make this as natural as we can. But here we are at my Day B outpost. Now, originally there was some research on Day B and like the first ever recordings. Back here used to be where my waystone would be, because before the whole upper section was here, you would actually have to fall and you would have to catch with water. So yeah, it's nothing big. It was really just my spot for Day B. Let's go over to the CodRooms next. Let me get just one little final look of the place. It went up there, and we weren't able to go up fully. Let's go over to the CodRooms. Where is the CodRooms? Actually, let's go to ClanVoid. So welcome to my ClanVoid base. Originally I was trying to make a water elevator. I never did. I never made it. This was essentially a place that Zetos made right after Artifact's death, and it was meant. I touched one of the blocks. God damn it. Fuck. Where am I? Where did I go to? Huh? There we go. Yeah, you always forget those are there. This was basically just meant to be a very shitty looking house. It's made to look like it's been just not in the best of shape. I mean, but yeah, no, this was a place he made at probably one of his lowest points, or a very low point. He's had lower. I didn't really ever do much. You'll see a common reoccurrence that I don't really do much with the bases. I just kind of make them to make them. And I never did get to Phantom's place, unfortunately. Oh well. Let's go over the CodRooms like I said I was gonna bring. I'll go to Ratos' cave next. Here is my CodRooms base. It was kind of made here first when CodRooms were made. It was really only made for like a staging point, as like if we go over here, it was really just for me to extort the CodRooms, which you'll see my extortion bag later. But you can see I took a whole lot of the lights. especially over here. Yeah, I took a lot of the lights. And holy shit, there's still... there are still very much blocks all over the ground from when I extorted the place. Weird. That shouldn't be like that. Let's go over to Ratos' cave. This is Ratos' cave. Ratos was kind of like a meme character I made a long while back. It's right underneath the Woodland Mansion. Which it was me and 2 other people who lived here. We kind of just raided the entire Woodland Mansion, and then the other 2 left, so it was kind of just me. And I eventually just kind of abandoned this place. But, oh my god, Ratos. So we've done all the base places. Let's go ahead and... If I'm trying to do this a little bit fast, it's because I want to get this done and over with, and still in a timely manner, so the video isn't too big. While still trying to explain things. Let's go ahead and go over to... where's Silas's base? Silas's base. So Silas is Zackery's brother. He kind of lived a little bit south of spawn in this little deposit. He had a nice little farm. Over there was like his little mines. He had this little tower or light thing to kind of indicate where his base was. He had a very simple house. It was meant to be very basic Minecraft-y kind of look to it. We have another one of these. I'll get to that whenever I get to Misguided. Give me a bit. We're about to move on to Simplest. And that's kind of just the general gist of the base. Let's go over to Simplest's camp and Simplest's base. So this is Simplest. This is one of my newer characters. Brother to Weather. He kind of made his base right next to to Michael's house, which is over there, or Soul Shards. It was kind of just meant to be a camp on top of the mountain. Kind of scared me a bit. It was kind of meant to be like a bandit-ish kind of camp. Meant to be very intimidating, and I'll show you how intimidating it is once we get down to Michael's place. Not anything. Why is there snow? You got his little room. John Geometry kept aiding the door. He used to have a cat here named Slumber. The cat died whenever lightning struck. Now let's go over to Simplest's home. Simplest's base was next to Foxtrot in the COI. Kinda right over here. It was going somewhere. I enjoyed it. The fact that he couldn't write time, so it had all of his glass stuff. He had his little theme, which is the Giving Tree Rochaz song. I would highly recommend you give it a listen. I'm actually very proud of how this house came along. I'm really happy with its design and overall. I am looking forward to remaking it, but I do like how I made it. It is very nice. I like it a lot. I guess we'll move on to Zackery's house. We'll do the sanctuary last. Where's Zackery's house at? Zackery's house. So Zackery's house was, like I said, a lot of these builds aren't anything special. They're just kind of... I'll check that out in a bit after the recording. Ignore that for now. It was kind of just meant to be a place for roleplay. It wasn't anything actually functional. It was just kind of meant to be the place where whenever Zackery wasn't in the soup where he was. But whenever Zackery wasn't there, he'd be down in the Misguided cave, aka the Catalyst cave. So welcome to where I first started to circuit. It's a mess. Very, very, very much a mess. So, well, I do make it out to be where he died right here. I actually remember where I died, and it was on this block specifically. When I first started to circuit, I was kind of down here trying to find diamonds. I looked this way, I looked that way after getting blindness, and then I looked this way again, and circuit ambushed me from behind. So that's how I first died to Circuit all the way back when, in this unknown cave. But I moved it down here because I just thought it'd be nicer. We have Deceitful's little research room. Over there we have a breach, which we'll talk about breaches here in a second. You could actually go down into the soup, which would lead down into, canonically, where Zackery, Silas, and Weather are all at. But soon those, they're going to get pulled down into the actual mass down in the void, and then they will probably never be seen again. But a fun fact about being marked by Catalyst is that you could be transported to all the different breaches. So all the breaches you see here, like, for example, if I go to the towers, I would go to the breach over here at the isolation chamber. So this is what this was. There was a total of this many breaches. There's the main mass. There was one also down in the caves, one in the sanctuary, the one at Silas's, the one at Shards' place, kind of tucked away in a little cave over. Hi, Jacob. To the side of the mountain, and then there was one down in Rogue's study, though I don't want to go through here because you can fall through the void in this one, and it's fun. So that's Catalyst. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not missing any other bases really quickly. Let me show off my room over at Michael's house. Over here, down here, to the side, we have Zetas' room. Whenever he just kind of needed an additional place to sleep, he would kind of come down here to sleep and rest up. Which he stayed over here at their house a lot. Once them and Michael became closer. We also can go to the Eyes' place because I don't have coordinates. Though I'm gonna have to go through so many pages of wrong place. Which eyes is it? It's one of the eyes. God, you can see how many of these waystones I have. Is it this one? Nope. This is, in fact, not it. This is. Ah, here we go. Oh, they made it nicer. Neat. Over here at Eldritch's place, we have up here to the side.
Geometry Dash.
Thank you, Geometry Dash. We had a room for Zetos to sleep and rest up in if he ever was just exhausted beyond relief. He used this room quite a bit of times. Am I missing any other places? Oh, right, we had the crash out room. Make sure I don't fall to my death. Forgot I made this. Yeah, don't worry about this room. This was a fun room, to say the least. Feel free to translate that if you're... I got a little hungry for some Zeto space. Oh, right. Yeah. A part of my sanctuary just in the middle of nowhere. We're not even going to question this. We're just going to keep moving on. We have my whip house over at Midsty. I never did finish it. But it was here. I was here a few times. Never did anything with it. Where else? We have the archive room. I almost forgot about this place. The archive room was essentially a place for me to store all of my books. And I do mean all, even notes, like the notes from Calamity. Essentially, this is also where he stashed his interviews. So in our first go-around of interviewing, we interviewed Fire, Zen, Eldritch, Day, Cal, Clockwork, King, Noah, Mary, and by Noah I mean Nabro, TBs, Souls, Coffee, Hope, reals, and calamities. And our second go through, we interviewed Lava, Soul Shards, Stacy, Antipathy, and a Rogue. And then there's also just a bunch of others. Sorry, Coffee. I, in fact, never burned the journal. Just a whole lot of books. Let me double check to make sure that's everything before we go down into the sanctuary. I think it's about time we go down into the sanctuary. So a bit of a history lesson for the sanctuary, which I will finally reveal the coordinates for. We're gonna go in there last. It's gonna be like one of the last things. Let's go ahead and start from the top of the sanctuary. The sanctuary is by far one of the most hidden places. I'd be surprised if anyone found this on their own, because it is essentially impossible if you don't already know it's there. But there we go. I'm just going to ignore the amount of death things. There's the coordinates of the sanctuary. It is no longer hidden, because we're in our final days. But if still anyone does, I'm going to get you. You can see just the amount of eldritch eyes just everywhere above this place. Really just showing you how much I've been down here. But essentially, in the early days, Artifact kind of realized that they needed a true sanctuary. Place where no one can find them. A place where if they needed to, they can hide away and won't be found. That is what the sanctuary is. Hidden away, out of view, and out of sight, locked behind a door, is the sanctuary. The sanctuary is currently protected by 2 acolyte pillars at all times. We have acolyte pillar number 1, kind of hidden away at the stairs. And then we have another one on the opposite end. Here we have the center room of the sanctuary. That was initially a second isolation chamber, but was remade into a containment chamber. I'll show you who's in there in a second. This is Silver Sun, aka my chess mimic, one of my many captives down here in the sanctuary, and you'll start to see a running theme of me having captives. Inside the containment chamber is the King Silverfish. I contained the guy after a long, gruesome war, and is now contained. And hopefully will not escape during Season 3, and the Silverfish War will not be reignited. Totally not. But here we have the original housing quarters. We have Zedos' room. I keep saying not much to it, and I'm going to keep saying it, because they're really just meant to be more of just, like, set pieces, if anything. Not a whole lot of these places have actual function to them. They're just meant to be places to be places. Artifact's room was meant to be very simple in design, very, what's the word? Not having a lot of stuff to it. He also did have a secret room, but I never did anything with it. You had Verde's room, which used to have a jukebox and has all of his music. He really liked music. Fun fact, his favorite music disc was Mall. Still is. We also have Fecto's room. They stayed at the sanctuary for a little bit. Here we have the kitchen area, filled with a lot of food and goodies. A lot of food made from... I assume they made a lot of this food. But we also have a lot of food from Calamity as well. Here is the second Acolyte pillar. To get a full range of effectiveness, essentially. Next up is the factory area. Hello, Misguided. So Misguided is my player custom entity. He is also my shopkeeper and the one who runs my vault. This is everything inside of my vault. It has a lot of junk in it. We have, I assume that's 2 of my heads. And a machinist machinist propaganda. Why is Pinky's head Alex? Okay. But he's the only entity I actually pay here. I pay him a cent per hour. We have my disposal area down to the mines. Over here we have the tree farm that Eldritch hates. We'll get to the bees in a second. Over here we have my firelight. We have the drill. Hi, Nuz. let me go ahead and break out my copper guys. These are my copper employees. They basically, ow! They basically get me free copper and molten copper. They are very hard workers. I do not pay them at all. We have my automatic smelter. We have my swarm of cod. I just have a swarm of cod. We also have a job application. We have goober and a bunch of trans cows, and normal sheep. In this room, covered by the Nuz, we have a captured Cod Almighty that we were able to get down here. Don't ask me how. Over here we have the bee lore board, containing all the lore of the bees. The bees have very deep lore. And here is my bee room. There are a lot of bees in here. Unfortunately, I do not... you can't see most of them. This is Lamp, the murderer. Driller is the longest standing bee, and I don't think he's died yet still. I think this is still the original bee. This is my oldest lasting bee, and that's Broom. Broom is very special indeed. I believe that's everything up for the base factory zone. Yeah, that's everything for the base. Down here we have additional housing for other people. We have a little garden area. There was meant to be a farm that way, but we're resetting. I don't really need to make that. I'll fix that a bit. And here are the other people who live in the sanctuary. We have Ink Reaver's room. I accidentally aided the floor. My bad, gang. It's very simple. We have Fire and Rogue's additional rooms, both kind of conjoined together. We also have Jacob's room. Whenever he lived down here. He also had a little insane room, as everyone does. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the insane room. That's all him. He's got that all day. You have Deimos's room, based, and we also have Michael's room, which there's the Zetos symbol. Me too, twin. Me too. Now, there are a few other locations. Like, also, down here, at the bottom of this, the breach is down there to the right. But down in the mine sections, we have a very secret room. Going into here, we can find the spawn room. This is where Zetos canonically spawns. It is by far one of the coolest rooms I've made with the help of Eldritch. And it's kind of meant to represent all the current personalities. You got, here, let me get to a vantage point so you can see it properly. You kind of got Zetos in the center bit, kind of just watching from below. Then you got Saren on the side, and then you got Kavum on the opposite end, with room for about 2 others on the side and 1 more for the roof. And the final thing that is down here is Eldritch also has a room down here. They were permitted to make a room, and this is what they made. I actually fuck with it so much. And I almost forgot to include a very silly goober to the list. Let's go over to Deceitful's place. Welcome to Deceitful's Entropy place. That was meant to be moved over to the sanctuary. It never did. We'll also get to the silverfish. But this is Deceitful's Entropy station, aka where he lives. You have his big-ass fucking radar, which never got finished just because of how ambitious this place was, and it was only me. If I can get up here. We also have a votary bomb, because of course votary visited this place. But you got like a tower that was heavily inspired by the one off of Voices of the Void. You have a dev. You got a bunch of votaries, which are all humbly named votary. They're all just votaries. Votary. And I've also contained dev, which I have to recontain whenever the server restarts. down here, you have his actual place. You have Digi's server room, where this is currently where the character Digitalis is at. Over here, you kind of have just an additional server room, not as important. Over here, you have the room where he keeps his bodies that he creates. Don't question it. Over here, you got his workshop. You got his Vanta void filter, which he drinks that shit like coffee. Over here, you have Deceitful's room. It's very bare bones. I never did get to decorate it. You also have MD's room, which is much nicer, and Torment's room. Anyways, enough of that. And if I do believe, I think there's only a few more places to check out. Like, for example, let's go ahead and find the TBE shrine. So originally, this room was made for Verde. This was Verde's room. Back whenever he used to live here at the shrine, all the way back when, before he was moved to the Day B base. I believe I still have the key to this room, too. I actually, fun fact, I actually guessed the key, and I was able to get in there for a long while. I'm still super proud of that. But he had his own room at the center of the Hope Void Shrine. And now, please give me a bet to make sure I don't miss any final locations that I may be missing. Let's check out the final room, the spawn room. This is where I spawn. Ignore the fact that Silver's, Neo's, and Kyle's heads are in here. I have a lot of heads. I'm an avid head collector. This is also where I extorted the CodRooms too. It's also where Eldritch made this insane fucking art, and I've just hung it up here. Down here is my obituary storage. I just toss obituaries here. We do not question it. I just store obituaries. We also have my collection area with it's the big ass helmet. We also have the lore bag with a lot of things in it. Here is my 29.2k sandwich. This was given to me on my birthday. It has been actively being fed into my bloodstream 24/7. Basically, if the server kept going until it can't, I would still be going. I would never need to eat. We also have a bag that Heaven left here at some point, and we also have my funny CodRooms bag, which is a lot of funny gooberish things in here. What else do I have to show off? I might as well show off my bag. This is what the context of my bag looks like at all times. It's very silly. Fun fact, I use none of this shit in there. I rarely do. It is basically there just for me to be a pack wreck and be a collector. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to show off. So I've been here since, here, let's end this off where it began. At the towers. Matter of fact, with my base skin. Rip artifact. So, let's just quickly. Oh yeah, final thing I wanted to show off. I wanted to show off my dog. It is my dog. Meet my dog. He is very special. Anyways, so that's kind of how many months? I've been playing since June 1st. Um, so to say I've been playing for a long while is kind of an understatement. I've been playing on the server almost every day I could get on ever since June, which I think there was like a about a week break in there where I literally couldn't get on the server, but every single day since June, if I could get on the server, I was on the server. Except for like a day here recently where I didn't get on. Um, but this has been 4 months of my life. To say this server has been my life is an understatement, like I just said. I absolutely love the Broken Script, and especially the SMP. I'm not leaving or anything with season two. I'm still gonna be here in season three. I'm just doing a bit of reflection at the moment. Um, like during some of my early days, it was literally just me in this tower with nothing around. It was literally just like I had to actively reach out. If I tried to join today, I would be immediately flooded with people, with places to look at, with neighbors always there. But for me, I watched all my neighbors come here. Like Giletto, who lives at that base all the way over there. I watched him build that. I literally watched the creation of Tiny Town and the subsequent fall. Let's be real, there was a fall there. Um, I started my lore basically as nothing, and eventually I got to really get into the lore. The lore is really just what I've been doing. Um, my characters, I love them all to death. I love everyone else's characters so much. Like I said before, I remember times during the summer where there was like 7 characters all here doing lore. It was great. Still is. Do I feel like it's the level of funness it was? I feel like it's not as fun, but is it still fun? Yes. I still heavily enjoy doing lore, being on this server. I've always wanted to help out, even though I've never been able to do so. Um, but some of the earliest people that I've talked to and really just got me into the server, like Zen, Nabro, um, like Eldritch, the whole thing with Skeltex was one of the first people I interacted with. Who were some of the earliest people? Coffee, Nuz. Coffee and Nuz were the first two I actually ever interacted with on the server. I still can't forget the first thing, like, I think it was day 2 on the server. Nuz kind of just picked me up from spawn, and we kind of just started exploring until we eventually found the cheater's cage. And using a drill, I remember Nuz was able to drill into the cheater's cage and report that little bug when it came to getting in there. And I was just there to watch. It was a hell of a way to start. Um, just a lot of the people early on, like Fecto, I did probably some of the most amount of lore with. They were some of the they were probably one of the people I had the most fun doing lore with by far. Um, Chaos as Calamity was great dude. I loved his character. I loved Calamity. Natalie was one of the first people I ever interacted with. Um, who else? Zephyr, aka Broken Horror, was one of the first people I interacted with and had fun with. I'm trying to remember some of the early people. Skepoon, I enjoyed our conversations and interactions. Who else? Fire. I always interacted with you, Fire. We were always cool, still are. I always enjoyed talking and interacting with you. Soul, I don't know how we didn't interact sooner. We are the exact same fucking person, convince me otherwise. Um, I did a lot of lore with Boombox in the early days. Um, who else? Like I said, Mary. And Creeper, Mary I did a lot of lore with. It was just... This server's been my life for the past 4 months. I don't plan on going anywhere else. I plan on sticking here no matter what. Unless like the world implodes or something. And even now with the people I'm still doing lore with, like Lost, who are some of the Hedron, Day, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long time too. Just a long time, a lot of people, a whole lot of shit. And I've stick through it all. There were a lot of rough times, don't get me wrong, but there's always those rough times. There will never not be rough times when it comes to like open communities and whatnot. But honestly, even though there are going to be those rough moments and those bad moments, there always will be. Don't let the moments sour your taste at all. Take the good where you can get it. Like, even if recent events have been a bit rough, I still would not this server has been some of the most fun I've had in any community. It's been where I found my people, if I'm being completely real. Like, there's so many people in here that I feel like have similar interests to me. And even now, even whenever I'm going to be split between like 3 servers, if I have to choose, I will stay here. So I do really look forward to Season 3, actually. Honestly, starting anew sounds really cool. Is it going to be a bitch to rebuild everything? Oh, absolutely, definitely. Am I going to have fun while doing it? Yeah, probably. I think that's all I have to say. I don't think I have anything else to say. Everyone else, thank you for making this such an enjoyable season. I really hope Season 3 doesn't end. Because, God, if it does, riots in the street. Joking, of course. Yeah, that's one of the last things I have to say is everyone else who's been on the server, who I've interacted with, who I've done lore with, who I've just done goofy shit with, thank you, genuinely, for making this probably one of the most enjoyable servers, communities to be a part of, and experiences to play. I want you to know I'll be finding every single one of you and putting a pipe bomb in all y'all mails. That's a promise. Anyways, I will catch y'all whenever I catch y'all around. And if I don't, oh well. It was nice talking to you while I could. Alright, time to obliterate myself. Blah!